Skill may open the first door, but attitude decides how far you walk through it. That single truth separates those who rise from those who fade away. You've seen it in daily life, people with incredible talent who stop the moment life pushes back, and others with less talent who keep showing up until they win. What makes the difference is not how gifted they are, but how strong their mindset island. Your ability can get you noticed, but your attitude is what makes people trust you, respect you, and give you bigger opportunities. Attitude is tested when you face rejection, when progress feels slow, and when nobody is watching. If you carry the right attitude, you will always keep moving, learning, and growing. In this session, you'll learn why your future will always depend more on how you think, act, and respond than on the talent you started with. Number 1, accept failures with strength instead of hiding behind talent. When you look at people who succeed in life, you'll notice something very important. It isn't always the person with the most talent who goes the farthest. In fact, some of the most talented people you'll ever meet often fail to reach their true potential. And do you know why? Because when things go wrong, when the pressure is heavy, they hide behind their talent. They rely on what they were naturally given instead of facing the reality of failure and learning how to stand strong through it. Talent may give you a head start, but it cannot carry you through the hard parts of life. The truth is that every one of us is going to fail. You can't escape it. You can't avoid it. You can't wish it away. Failure is part of life, and it is part of growth. What matters is how you respond when it shows up. Some people fold. Some people run. Some people try to hide behind excuses. Others hide behind talent, thinking their ability should have protected them. But ability alone has never guaranteed success. It's attitude that decides what comes after the fall. When you fail, you have 2 choices. You can say, "This proves I'm not good enough," and hide. Or you can say, "This is teaching me something I need," and grow. That second choice requires strength. It requires you to face disappointment without denying it, to face embarrassment without letting it crush your confidence, to face rejection without letting it turn you bitter. That is where attitude becomes more important than talent. Talent cannot give you that strength. Only attitude can. Think about a person who has great skill but no patience. The moment something doesn't work, they throw it away. They walk away from opportunities because their talent didn't guarantee quick success. They never build endurance. Now compare that with someone who may not be the most skilled in the room but has the courage to stay in the game after failing. They don't fold when they hear no. They don't hide when their work is criticized. They don't look for excuses. They look for lessons. Who do you think is going to rise higher in the long run? It's the one with the stronger attitude. Your attitude is what helps you see failure differently. Instead of calling it the end, you see it as feedback. You see it as an event, not a definition of who you are. You see it as temporary, not permanent. That kind of thinking allows you to move forward when other people stop. And when you move forward, you grow. You develop new skills. You learn what not to do. You sharpen your decision-making. You get stronger. Over time, you pass the ones who had more natural talent, but no resilience. You've probably seen this in your own life, maybe at work, in school, in sports, or even in personal relationships. The ones who keep moving despite failure are the ones who eventually gain respect. People notice them. People say, "That person doesn't give up." That reputation alone creates opportunities. Others begin to trust them with responsibility. They get promoted, they get chosen, they get remembered, and all of it comes down to an attitude of strength in the face of failure. There's a big trap most people fall into. They think, if I was talented enough, I wouldn't fail. That's not true. Failure comes for everyone, even the best. The difference is that the best don't hide from it. They use it. They're not embarrassed by it. They don't protect their image by walking away. They get back up. And when you keep getting back up, you build something far greater than skill. You build character. And character is what creates trust, respect, and influence. Hiding behind talent feels safe at first. It's easier to say, "I didn't really try," or "I wasn't prepared," than it is to admit, "I tried my best and failed." But that honesty is what makes you strong. That honesty is what teaches you. If you avoid it, you cheat yourself of the growth. You remain fragile, always dependent on your gift, always afraid of being exposed. And when pressure comes again, you'll crumble in the same way. But if you accept failure with strength, if you confront it head on, you get tougher. You become someone who is ready for bigger challenges. Let's put this into reality. Imagine two people starting the same project. One has natural talent, the other does not. The talented one succeeds quickly at the beginning, but the first setback discourages them. They quit, or they blame others, or they lower their standards. The less talented one struggles at first, but when they fail, they decide to learn from it. They try again, adjust, and grow. 10 attempts later, who do you think is better? The second person. They may have started with less, but they developed more, because their attitude refused to let failure stop them. This is why I always say attitude is more important than skill. You can grow skill, you can practice, you can learn, you can improve, but you will never put in the work if your attitude is weak. You'll never go the distance if you treat every failure as proof you should stop. It's not talent that keeps you going. It's belief. It's determination. It's courage. It's the decision to keep showing up no matter how many times you fall. So ask yourself, how do you respond to failure? Do you shrink? Do you hide? Do you pretend it doesn't matter? Or do you use it as fuel to push forward? That's the test. Because if you can stand tall after failure, there's nothing you can't handle. Every rejection will turn into resilience. Every setback will build stamina. Every mistake will sharpen your awareness. That is the power of attitude. Now, here's another truth. People respect strength more than they respect talent. A talented person who breaks down when things go wrong loses credibility. But someone with a strong attitude gains admiration, even if they haven't mastered everything yet. Why? Because we all know failure. We've all tasted disappointment. And when we see someone face it with courage, it inspires us. It reminds us that it's possible. And inspiration is far more valuable than raw talent. If you want to grow, accept that failure will be part of your journey. But don't let it define you. Don't let it make you small. Accept it with strength. Face it directly. Ask yourself, what can I take from this? And then move forward. You'll notice something powerful when you do. You stop fearing failure. You stop running from challenges. You stop doubting yourself every time things get hard. That's when you become unstoppable. Most people are trapped because they want a life free from failure. They want success without pain. They want growth without discomfort. But life doesn't work that way. If you avoid failure, you avoid progress. If you embrace it, you gain strength. And that strength, multiplied over time, makes you more powerful than talent ever could. So here's the choice. You can protect your image and hide behind talent, or you can accept failure with strength and build the foundation for real success. Only one of those will take you where you want to go. Choose wisely. Choose attitude. Choose strength. Because in the end, the people who rise the highest are not always the most talented, but they are always the strongest in attitude. And that strength is available to you right now. All it takes is one decision. Stop hiding behind what you were given and start building who you can become. Number 2, replace excuses with effort and watch skill grow naturally. Excuses are the easiest thing in the world to make. You don't have to work hard to find one. They come naturally. You can blame your background, your circumstances, your parents, your lack of opportunities, the economy, or even your own abilities. Every time life challenges you, an excuse will be ready to whisper in your ear, telling you why you can't take the next step. But the truth is, excuses never build your future. They only protect your comfort. They keep you exactly where you are. And if you let them control you, they steal your potential before you've even tested it. Effort, on the other hand, is harder. It demands energy. It demands focus. It demands consistency when you don't feel like showing up. Effort doesn't let you hide. Effort makes you take responsibility. It forces you to look at where you are and decide whether you're going to stay there or climb higher. That's why so few people choose effort. Excuses feel lighter, but they leave you empty. Effort feels heavy, but it builds strength and opens the door for skill to grow. Skill doesn't appear out of thin air. No one wakes up one morning able to master a craft without putting in time. Even the people who seem naturally gifted sharpen that gift through effort. What you see as talent is often hours and hours of practice hidden behind the curtain. You don't get to see the sweat, the mistakes, the long nights, the constant corrections. You only see the result. And if you look closely, you'll find that effort was the engine behind every skill you admire. The problem with excuses is that they disguise themselves as logic. I don't have enough time. I don't have the right resources. I'm too tired. I'll start later. On the surface, these sound reasonable. But when you add them all up, what you really have is wasted years. You get stuck in cycles of hesitation, waiting for conditions to be perfect before you act. The truth is, conditions are never perfect. They weren't for the people you look up to either. They made progress by acting with what they had, not waiting for what they didn't. When you replace excuses with effort, something powerful begins to happen. First, you feel a shift inside yourself. You stop seeing obstacles as permanent walls and start seeing them as temporary tests. You realize that you don't need every resource in the world to begin. You don't need the best teacher or the best tools or the best timing. You need effort. That's it. Because effort turns a little into enough. Effort turns practice into growth. Effort turns hesitation into confidence. Once you start putting effort first, skill begins to show up naturally. Think about any area of life: communication, leadership, business, relationships, health. None of these improve by thinking or making excuses. They improve by effort. If you keep showing up to practice your communication, you'll eventually learn how to express yourself clearly. If you keep putting effort into your work, you'll naturally get better at your craft. If you keep making effort in your health, you'll discover better habits without needing to know everything from the beginning. Effort makes growth automatic. One of the greatest dangers of excuses is that they convince you that you're stuck. You tell yourself stories that sound final. I'm not good at this. I was never meant for that. It's too late for me. These are lies. The human brain is built to learn. The body is built to adapt. Skills are not fixed. They are developed through repetition. But you'll never reach that point if you keep protecting yourself with excuses. Only effort unlocks your true potential. There's another thing effort does that excuses never can. It earns respect. People don't admire excuses. They admire discipline. They admire consistency. They admire those who keep trying even when the results are small. You don't have to be the most talented person in the room to earn respect. You just need to be the one who shows up, puts in the work, and refuses to quit. Over time, that respect translates into trust, opportunities, and growth. Now, it's important to understand something about effort. It isn't about perfection. It's about direction. You don't have to get everything right today. You don't have to master a skill in 1 week. But you do need to put in the effort that moves you forward. Even small effort counts. 1 hour of practice every day adds up to hundreds of hours in a year. One small step forward each day is still a step forward. Excuses will tell you that small progress doesn't matter. But effort teaches you that every step adds up to something bigger. Replacing excuses with effort also changes how you see yourself. When you give in to excuses, you slowly weaken your self-belief. You tell yourself over and over that you can't. That builds doubt. But when you choose effort, even on hard days, you reinforce the belief that you can. You prove to yourself that you're capable. You feel stronger because you know you did what you could. That confidence carries into every part of your life. You might say, but effort is tiring. Yes, island effort will drain you sometimes. But there's a different kind of tired that comes from excuses. That's the tired of regret. That's the tired of wasted time. That's the tired of knowing you could have done more but didn't. That kind of tired is far heavier than the tired that comes from effort. Effort drains you temporarily. Excuses drain you permanently. If you want skill to grow naturally, stop waiting for the perfect conditions. Start with what you have. Take the first step, then the second, then the third. Before you know it, your skill will rise. You'll look back and realize that what once seemed impossible has become normal for you. That's how growth works. slowly, quietly, steadily, but it only happens if effort replaces excuses. Excuses will always try to come back. Even when you've been consistent, they'll whisper in your ear, "Take a break. It's not worth it. You can't keep this up." That's when you need to remind yourself of the bigger picture. Skill grows over time, not overnight. And the only way to make sure it keeps growing is to keep effort at the center of your life. The truth is simple. You either make excuses or you make progress. You cannot do both. The moment you choose effort, progress becomes possible. The moment you choose excuses, progress stops. And every day, you're making that choice whether you realize it or not. Ask yourself, what kind of future do you want? One built on excuses, or one built on effort? One keeps you stuck, the other sets you free. So replace excuses with effort. Don't wait. Don't argue with yourself. Don't hold back. Put in the work, no matter how small it feels today, because effort compounds. It stacks day after day until skill rises naturally, until confidence grows, until opportunities open. That's how you build a life of strength, achievement, and fulfillment. And it starts with one choice. Stop giving excuses your voice and give effort your full commitment. Number 3, stand tall after rejection, while others give up quickly. Rejection is one of the hardest things for a human being to face. It doesn't matter if it comes from a job you wanted, a person you cared about, a business you worked hard to build, or a dream you carried in your heart. When someone tells you no, it feels personal. It feels like they are saying, you are not enough. That sting can cut deep. Many people never recover from it. They give up quickly. They let rejection define them. And once they do, they stop trying altogether. That's why most people never reach their true potential. But rejection doesn't have to be the end. It can be the turning point. The people who rise above others are not the ones who never hear no. They are the ones who hear it and stand tall anyway. They don't fold when someone doubts them. They don't run when doors close. They stay in the fight long after others walk away. That strength has nothing to do with talent. It comes from attitude. When you stand tall after rejection, you are making a statement, not to the world, but to yourself. You are saying, this is not the end of me. I may not have been chosen here, but I am still moving forward. That decision builds something inside you. It builds resilience. It builds confidence. And with each rejection you face, you grow thicker skin. The world can push against you, but it cannot break you. Most people fear rejection so much that they never even try. They avoid risks. They avoid applying. They avoid speaking up because they don't want to feel the pain of hearing no. But the truth is, you cannot avoid rejection forever. Life is full of it. What you can do is choose how you respond. Some give up. Others stand taller. And over time, that difference changes everything. Think about history, about the names we remember. These were people who faced rejection not once, not twice, but dozens of times. They were laughed at, doubted, told they weren't good enough, told their ideas were impossible. But they didn't let those voices define them. They stood tall. They kept going. And because they did, the world eventually had to listen. If they had given up quickly like most people, you would never know their names today. Standing tall doesn't mean you ignore the pain. Rejection hurts, and it's okay to admit that. What matters is that you don't stay in that pain. You don't let it stop you from trying again. You don't let it convince you that you are worthless. You use the pain as a sign that you care deeply. You wanted something, you tried, and you reached. That alone is something to be proud of. Many never even reach that far. Here's what rejection really does. It reveals your strength. It shows whether you are in on outside approval or whether you carry enough belief in yourself to move forward anyway. If you crumble when someone says no, then your foundation is weak. If you keep standing, then you are building the kind of foundation that no one can shake. That is what separates those who succeed from those who stay stuck. The world often respects persistence more than initial talent. A person who keeps showing up after being rejected earns attention. People begin to see them differently. They see that this person is serious, committed, and unwilling to back down. Eventually, the same people who doubted you may begin to support you. They may even admire you. But that only happens if you stand tall long enough to prove you cannot be shaken. Rejection can also teach you things you would never learn otherwise. Sometimes it forces you to improve. Sometimes it pushes you to change direction. Sometimes it shows you that you were aiming too low. But you only get those lessons if you stay in the process. If you quit, you miss the growth. You miss the chance to discover the strength and wisdom rejection was trying to give you. When others give up quickly, they never experience this transformation. They walk away and convince themselves it wasn't worth it. They protect their pride but lose their future. Meanwhile, the one who stands tall keeps moving. Slowly but surely, they become stronger, sharper, and more prepared for the next opportunity. When it comes, they are ready. There is a moment every person faces after rejection. It's the moment of choice. You can either sit in bitterness or you can rise with determination. One direction leads to regret, the other to growth, and that choice has to be made every time. It isn't automatic, it's deliberate. That's why attitude is more important than skill. Skill may open a door, but only attitude can keep you walking forward after that door slams shut. Standing tall after rejection also builds credibility with yourself. You begin to trust yourself more. You know that even when life doesn't go your way, you will not quit. That self-trust is priceless. It creates confidence that doesn't depend on the approval of others. You no longer live in fear of hearing no. Instead, you live with the courage of knowing you can take it and keep moving. Over time, that courage changes how you approach everything. You apply for positions others think are out of reach. You use your relationships others are afraid to start. You take risks in business others won't touch. Why? Because you know rejection won't destroy you. You've trained yourself to stand tall. And once you have that mindset, nothing can hold you back. The truth is, rejection is not the enemy. Giving up is. Everyone gets turned down. Everyone gets told they aren't ready. Everyone faces closed doors. But not everyone responds the same way. The world belongs to those who keep moving, despite it. Those who treat rejection as feedback, not as failure. Those who understand that the no of today doesn't mean no forever. So when you face rejection, and you will, remember this: it is only temporary. It is not final. It does not numb your worth. What defines you is whether you stand tall or shrink back. Don't choose the easy way out. Don't give up quickly, like most people. Use rejection as the fuel to keep going. Let it sharpen your drive. Let it prove to yourself that you are stronger than a single word. If you do that, you'll discover something extraordinary. Each rejection becomes lighter. Each no hurts less. Each setback builds more endurance, until eventually, rejection doesn't scare you anymore. Instead, it becomes a part of the process, a stepping stone to where you're meant to be. That's the power of attitude. It turns rejection into resilience, and resilience into success. And here's the final truth: the world rewards the ones who stay. It rewards those who stand tall long after the first wave of rejections, because by then most others have already walked away. The competition is gone, and you're still there. That persistence alone gives you an edge greater than talent. And in the long run, that edge makes all the difference. Number 4, keep working hard when your talent is not recognized. One of the most painful experiences in life is giving your best and watching it go unnoticed. You pour yourself into your work. You practice. You sharpen your ability. And you expect that someone will see it, acknowledge it, and reward it. But there are times when no one does. Your talent sits quietly in the background while others are praised, promoted, or celebrated. In those moments, discouragement can set in quickly. You may wonder if your effort has any meaning. You may question if you should even keep going. Many people stop at this point. They decide that if their talent isn't recognized, it must not be worth anything. But that conclusion is the very thing that destroys progress. The truth is that recognition does not determine value. Just because someone hasn't noticed what you're capable of doesn't mean it isn't real. It doesn't mean it won't pay off later. It simply means that right now you are being tested. Not tested in your ability, but in your attitude. Will you keep going when applause is absent? Will you still put in the work when no one is watching? That's the question that separates the ones who rise from the ones who fade. It's easy to work hard when the world is cheering you on. It's harder when the room is silent. Yet the silence is where strength is built. This is where you develop discipline that doesn't depend on outside approval. If you can keep working even when no one notices, you are proving to yourself that your motivation comes from within. And motivation built on the inside is far stronger than motivation borrowed from others. People often believe that talent should automatically open doors, but life doesn't always work that way. Timing, circumstances, and other people's choices all play a role. You can have immense talent and still be overlooked for a season. That doesn't mean you are finished. It means your opportunity has not arrived yet. And the only way to make sure you are ready for it when it comes is to keep working while you wait. Think about how many people quit right before they could have been noticed. They stopped because recognition didn't come quickly. They thought their talent would be enough. But when it wasn't, they gave up. Meanwhile, someone else with less talent kept showing up, kept improving, kept working in the shadows. And eventually when the door opened, it was the second person who walked through it. Not because they were the most gifted, but because they had the persistence to stay in the game. When your talent is not recognized, you have a decision to make. You can let bitterness eat away at you, or you can use it as fuel to push harder. The bitterness path is easy but destructive. It leads you to resentment and self-pity, and those emotions will kill your progress. The stronger path is to stay focused on the work itself, to remind yourself that the recognition you want may be delayed, but the growth you gain from hard work is happening right now. Every hour you put in is shaping you, even if no one claps for it. Every repetition is strengthening your ability, even if no one notices. Every day of consistency is preparing you for a breakthrough, even if it feels far away. The important thing is to keep going, because recognition may be slow, but growth is steady. When recognition finally arrives, you'll be far more prepared than you would have been if you quit. There's something powerful about becoming the kind of person who can keep working without constant validation. That kind of person can be trusted with greater responsibility. They don't need applause to function. They don't need compliments. Continue, they can lead themselves, and eventually, they can lead others. This is why staying consistent when your talent is not recognized is such a critical test. It's not just about proving your skill. It's about proving your character. You also have to understand that recognition doesn't always come from where you expect it. Sometimes the people around you won't see your value. That doesn't mean no one will. It may be someone else at your circle, someone you haven't even met yet, who finally sees the worth of your talent. If you stop working too soon, you'll miss that opportunity. But if you keep building, keep sharpening, and keep improving, eventually the right eyes will notice. It's important to remember that talent alone is never enough. Hard work multiplies it. Talent without effort stalls. Talent with effort grows. So when recognition is absent, use that time to double down on your effort. Keep training, keep practicing, keep producing. By the time recognition arrives, your talent will have matured into something undeniable. Another truth to keep in mind is that recognition often comes late. Most of the great stories of achievement were written by people who worked in obscurity for years. Before the world acknowledged them, they built their skills in the shadows, long before the spotlight turned their way. They learned how to endure silence, and that endurance gave them the strength to handle success when it finally arrived. If they had demanded instant recognition, they would have lasted long enough to see their dreams fulfilled. So don't let lack of recognition convince you that your effort is wasted. Your work is never wasted when it builds your ability and strengthens your attitude. Every day you put in the effort, you're separating yourself from those who quit too soon. You're building endurance that will make you unshakable later. You're laying a foundation that recognition will eventually rest upon. When you wake up each day and feel unnoticed, choose to work anyway. When you feel like no one values your contribution, keep producing. When others are celebrated and you are not, stay committed, because eventually, your persistence will pay off. Recognition is not recognition. Your responsibility is not to chase applause. It's to keep building yourself until the results are impossible to ignore. There will always be people who give up when their talent is not recognized. They will fall behind because they tied their motivation to the approval of others. But if you tie your motivation to growth itself, you'll never run out of reasons to keep going. That is the strength of attitude. It keeps you moving when everything else tells you to stop. One day, recognition will arrive. But when it does, it won't be the recognition that defines you. It will be the years you kept working without it. That will be the real victory. Because in the silence you discovered discipline. In the absence of applause you built resilience. In the shadows you created a version of yourself that cannot be shaken. And that version of you will be ready for any opportunity that comes your way. This is why attitude is always more important than skill. Talent may earn attention for a moment, but attitude earns respect for a lifetime. When you keep working hard even when your talent is not recognized, you are building the kind of strength that outlasts temporary applause, and that strength will carry you farther than talent alone ever could. Number 5. Respect discipline more than the gifts you were born with. There is a danger in believing that the gifts you were born with are enough to carry you through life. Some people grow up being told they are smart, talented, or naturally capable, and they begin to rely on those gifts as though they are a guarantee. They think because they can learn quickly, because they can perform better than most at the start, they will always have an advantage. But the truth is that natural gifts can only take you so far. Without discipline, those gifts eventually fade into nothing more than wasted potential. Discipline is the force that turns a gift into a real achievement. It is the choice to show up every day, even when you don't feel like it. It is the commitment to practice when no one is clapping for you. It is the strength to do what needs to be done instead of only doing what feels comfortable. The difference between people who achieve and those who don't is rarely about who was born with more talent. The difference is who had the discipline to keep building when others stopped. You can see this play out in every area of life. The athlete who was naturally quick in childhood eventually gets passed by the one who trained hard. The student who always found school easy falls behind when the subjects become challenging, because they never built the habit of disciplined study. The gifted speaker who can impress a crowd with no preparation gets overshadowed by the disciplined communicator who studied, refined, and practiced until their delivery was sharp and reliable every time. Natural ability may start the race, but discipline is what finishes it. Respecting discipline means you value the long road over the shortcut. It means you understand that habits matter more than flashes of talent. It means you accept that growth takes time and repetition. It may not be glamorous to wake up early, to practice daily, to study while others are distracted, or to keep routines that no one praises. But every act of discipline compounds. Over months and years, discipline builds something far stronger than natural gifts ever could. It builds consistency, reliability, and mastery. One of the most common traps people fall into is comparing themselves to those who seem naturally gifted. You might look at someone and think, they were born to do this, but what you often don't see is the discipline behind their success. Even the most gifted individuals who sustain greatness do it through relentless practice and routine. The ones who rely only on gifts burn out quickly. They have bursts of success, but they cannot sustain it. It's they lack the structure that discipline provides. Discipline also creates freedom. At first, that may sound strange, because discipline feels like restriction. But what it really does is free you from chaos and inconsistency. When you live with discipline, you don't have to constantly wonder what to do next. You've built routines and habits that carry you forward. You don't waste energy debating whether to train, whether to study, whether to work, because discipline has already set the answer. That frees your mind to focus fully on the task itself. And with that focus, your skills grow. Respecting killings, more than gifts, also protects you from arrogance. If you rely too much on what you were born with, you risk believing you are entitled to success. You expect things to come easily, and when they don't, you feel frustrated. But when you build your life on discipline, you know success is something you earn. You don't wait for recognition, you keep working. You don't expect perfection, you build progress. That mindset keeps you humble, grounded, and hungry to improve. Think about the people who inspire you most. Chances are, it isn't just their talent that moves you, it's their story of discipline. It's the hours they spent when no one was looking. It's the sacrifices they made to grow. That's what creates admiration. Because deep down, everyone knows that talent is common, but discipline is rare. Many are born with gifts, but few respect discipline enough to put in the hard, unglamorous work every day. The reality is that discipline doesn't always feel good in the moment. It means waking up when you're tired. It means saying no to distraction. It means pushing through boredom when progress feels slow. But the reward is enormous. Every time you act with discipline, you strengthen your ability to follow through. You teach yourself that your future matters more than your mood. And over time, that habit becomes part of your identity. You stop being the person who only acts when motivated. You become the person who acts because it's who you are. Respecting discipline over gifts also gives you control over your life. You can't control what gifts you were born with, but you can control how disciplined you are. You decide how many hours you practice. You decide how consistent you are. You decide how much you push yourself to improve. That means discipline puts your future in your hands. Natural gifts may give you a head start, but they don't decide the finish line. If you want to build something meaningful, start by respecting discipline. Respect the daily habits that no one sees. Respect the structure that keeps you moving when motivation is low. Respect the process of improvement, even when progress is slow. Because in the end, gifts may get you noticed for a moment, but discipline will keep you relevant for a lifetime. When you respect discipline more than your gifts, you never stop growing. You never let yourself get comfortable. You never fall into the trap of thinking you've arrived. You remain focused, hungry, and committed to building something stronger each day. And that is what separates those who rise steadily in life from those who burn bright for a short while and then fade. So never worship the gifts you were born with. Appreciate them, but don't depend on them. Respect discipline more, because discipline is what takes whatever you were given and multiplies it. It is the bridge between potential and achievement. It is the difference between talent that fades and greatness that lasts. And it is available to anyone willing to commit, no matter how gifted they were at the start. Number 6. Build resilience that outlasts people with better abilities. There will always be people with more natural ability than you. They may learn faster, perform smoother, or seem to achieve things with less effort. At first glance, it can feel like you will never catch up, but ability alone has limits. It can open doors, but it cannot guarantee how long someone stays at the top. The ones who last are not always the most gifted. They are the ones who build resilience. Resilience is the ability to keep going when everything inside you wants to stop. It is the strength to continue when life puts obstacles in your path. And it is far more powerful than natural talent because it endures. Resilience is not something you are born with. It is something you develop. It comes from facing difficulty and refusing to let it break you. Every time you encounter a challenge and push through, you are adding another layer of resilience. It doesn't happen overnight. It is built day after day, decision after decision. When you choose not to give in, people with better abilities may shine in the short term, but resilience ensures that you outlast them in the long run. The reason resilience is so powerful is that life is not a straight line. It will throw setbacks, disappointments, and failures your way. Those who rely only on ability are often crushed when things don't go their way. They are used to winning quickly, so when they finally meet resistance, they don't know how to handle it. But when you've built resilience, setbacks don't destroy you. They may slow you down, but they don't stop you. You recover, you adapt, and you continue. That kind of strength is unstoppable. Think about the people you admire most. They are rarely the ones who had an easy road. They are the ones who endured challenges and came out stronger. They had moments of struggle, rejection, and defeat, but they refused to give up. They built resilience that carried them through times when others would have quit. And that resilience became more valuable than any natural gift. Resilience also changes how you see obstacles. To the average person, an obstacle is a reason to stop. To someone resilient, an obstacle is proof they are moving forward. They understand that challenges are part of growth. Instead of feeling defeated, They use difficulties as training. They see them as opportunities to sharpen their character, strengthen their mindset, and build endurance. Over time, this perspective makes them unshakable. Another reason resilience outlasts ability is that ability can plateau. Natural talent can only take you so far. Once you reach that level, what separates people is not who had more gifts at the start, but who had the patience and persistence to keep improving. Resilience is what fuels continuous improvement. Even when progress is slow, resilience keeps you showing up. It keeps you practicing. It keeps you committed to getting better. Eventually, the person with resilience surpasses the one who relied only on talent. Resilience also builds trust, both with yourself and with others. When you know you can endure hardship, you gain confidence. You stop doubting your ability to handle tough times. You know that no matter what happens, you can withstand it. That self-trust is priceless. Others notice it too. People respect those who keep going despite difficulty. They trust them with responsibility because they know they won't crumble under pressure. That kind trust opens doors talent alone cannot open. Building resilience requires intentional effort. It comes from choosing to face hard things instead of avoiding them. It comes from staying consistent when results are delayed. It comes from pushing through discomfort instead of looking for shortcuts. Each time you make those choices, you strengthen your resilience. And the stronger it becomes, the more you realize that there is very little in life that can stop you. Many people waste time wishing they had more ability. They think life would be easier if they had more natural talent, more intelligence, or opportunity. But what they fail to realize is that resilience can surpass all of those things. The person who doesn't quit, who adapts, who stands strong in storms, will always have an advantage over the one who depends solely on ability. Resilience also creates credits. Talent can show up in flashes, but resilience keeps you steady. When you are resilient, you don't just perform well when conditions are good. You perform well regardless of conditions. You keep moving forward even when you're tired, even when recognition is absent, even when the odds are against you. That consistency compounds over time and becomes the foundation of long-term success. Another important truth is that resilience keeps you grounded. When you have resilience, you don't get carried away by short-term wins. You understand that success is temporary if it isn't supported by endurance. So you keep working, you keep improving, and you stay humble. That attitude not only makes you last longer, but also prepares you handle greater challenges in the future. Life rewards those who stay in the game. It rewards those who keep moving forward, long after others have walked away. That is why resilience matters more than ability. Everyone has moments of brilliance, but not everyone has the strength to endure when things get difficult. If you are the one who builds resilience, you gain the ultimate advantage. You become the person who cannot be stopped, the one who keeps showing up, the one who eventually rises above because you refuse to quit. You don't need to envy people with more talent. Respect what they have, but don't let it discourage you. Focus on building resilience, because resilience ensures that even if they start ahead, you will still finish strong. With resilience, you will always have the ability to adapt, recover, and move forward. And that is worth more than any natural gift. So commit to building resilience every day. Embrace challenges instead of running from them. Stay consistent, even when progress feels slow. Refuse to let setbacks define you. With every choice you make to endure, you are building a strength that will outlast anyone who depends only on ability. And when the dust settles, it won't be the most gifted who stand tallest. It will be the most resilient. Number 7. Stay hungry for growth when natural skill feels comfortable. Comfort can be dangerous when you are naturally skilled. It feels good to know you can perform better than others without trying too hard. It gives you a sense of pride, and for a while that pride feels justified. But if you stop there, if you allow comfort to settle in, you will eventually discover that the world is moving forward while you are standing still. What once felt like an advantage becomes a limitation. Because natural skill without growth quickly loses its edge. Staying hungry for growth means refusing to let comfort rob you of progress. It means understanding that no matter how skilled you are today, there is always another level to reach. It means you don't compare yourself to the people you can already outperform, but instead measure yourself against what you could become if you pushed harder. Hunger keeps you awake when comfort tries to put you to sleep. Many people waste their potential because they confuse comfort with success. They do just enough to look impressive and then stop striving. They enjoy being recognized for what they can already do and avoid challenges that could expose their weaknesses. But this mindset is dangerous because skill that is not stretched begins to decline. What feels comfortable today will become mediocrity tomorrow. The only way to prevent that decline is to stay hungry, to remain restless, to always be reaching for more. Hunger for growth is not about dissatisfaction with yourself. It's about respect for your potential. It's about knowing you are capable of more and refusing to waste that capability. It's about being honest enough to say, yes, I am skilled, but I am not finished. That honesty separates achievers from those who settle. Achievers know that comfort is temporary, but growth is endless. The truth is that hunger has built every great success story. Talent may have played a role at the start, but it was hunger that carried people through years of practice, through countless challenges, through times when no recognition came. Hunger made them push beyond what was expected. Hunger made them work when they could have relaxed. Hunger made them choose growth over comfort every single time. When you stay hungry, you stop seeking approval and start seeking progress. You don't care about being the most talented in a small group. You want to become the best version of yourself. That shift in focus creates endless motivation. While others slow down because they already feel ahead, you keep moving forward because you know there is more to learn, more to practice, more to accomplish. Another reason hunger matters more than comfort is that the world never stops changing. Skills that are valuable today may not be valuable tomorrow. If you are comfortable, you won't adapt. You will hold on to what you know while opportunities pass you by. But if you are hungry, you are always learning. You are always evolving. You stay relevant because you refuse to get stuck in the past. Hunger keeps you ready for whatever comes next. Staying hungry also gives you an edge in discipline. When you are driven by growth, you don't wait for motivation to appear. You create routines and stick to them. You push yourself to study, practice, and train even when you already feel skilled. That consistency compounds over time. Eventually, your natural ability becomes combined with years of deliberate improvement, and that combination is unstoppable. The challenge with hunger is that it doesn't feel comfortable. It forces you to leave safe places and step into situations where you might fail. It requires you to accept that what made you impressive yesterday is not enough today. But while that may feel uncomfortable, it is also what keeps you alive and sharp. Comfort slowly weakens you, but hunger makes you strong. Think about the people who inspire you. Chances are, it isn't just their talent that impresses you. It's their drive. It's their unwillingness to stop. It's their ability to stay restless, even when they had every reason to relax. That hunger is what separates the good from the great, and the great from the unforgettable. If you want to live with that kind of strength, make a decision today to never let comfort control you. Celebrate your skills, but don't settle into them. Look for ways to challenge yourself. Take on responsibilities that scare you. Practice skills that feel awkward. Study areas where you feel weak. Push your limits deliberately. Every time you do, you feed your hunger for growth and prevent comfort from trapping you. Hunger is also deeply connected to purpose. When you know why you are growing, you are less likely to stop. Comfort loses its appeal when you are focused on something big. If you tie your hunger to a meaningful purpose, to building a better life, to serving others, to fulfilling your highest potential, you will find energy to keep moving even when you are tired. Purpose fuels hunger, and hunger fuels growth. One of the greatest benefits of staying hungry is that it builds confidence that doesn't depend on comparison. You no longer need to prove yourself against others. You know that you are improving every day, and that is enough. That kind of confidence is powerful because it cannot be taken away. Recognition may come and go, But hunger-driven growth is always in your control. Comfort feels safe, but it is an illusion. If you stay in it too long, you lose your sharpness, you lose your edge, and eventually, you lose opportunities to those who are willing to stay hungry. But if you keep feeding your hunger for growth, you create a momentum that carries you far beyond what natural skill could achieve alone. The truth is simple. Skill makes you good, but hunger makes you great. Comfort will try to stop you, but hunger will push. Respect your skill, but never let it make you complacent. Stay restless. Stay curious. Stay willing to learn. Because the moment you stop growing, you start declining. And the moment you choose hunger, you seek yourself on a path of endless improvement. So no matter how skilled you are today, stay hungry for more. Refuse to settle. Refuse to relax into comfort. Keep striving. Keep learning. Keep building. Because growth doesn't end until you decide to stop. And if you keep your hunger alive, you will continue to rise long after others have been left behind. Number 8. Use setbacks as proof your mindset is stronger than talent. Setbacks are not pleasant. They interrupt your plans, shake your confidence, and sometimes make you question your ability. They can feel like the world is telling you to stop. But the truth is that setbacks are not a sign of weakness. They are a stage every person must pass through if they want to reach real strength. And the way you handle them says more about your future than any gift you were born with. Natural talent can look impressive when things go smoothly, but mindset is revealed when things go wrong. When you experience a setback, your first instinct may be to see it as failure. That's how most people think. They believe a setback means they are not good enough, or that the opportunity is gone. But a stronger way to see it is this. A setback is proof you are in motion. You can only face obstacles if you are moving forward. If you were doing nothing, you wouldn't stumble. The fact that you experienced a setback means you were reaching, and reaching is always better than standing still. What separates winners from quitters is not that winners avoid setbacks. They don't. They face just as many, and sometimes more. The difference is that they treat setbacks as information, not condemnation. They say, "What can I learn from this? What is this teaching me about myself, about my plan, about my preparation?" They use the moment to grow strong. That ability to turn pain into power comes from mindset, not talent. Talent can crumble under pressure because it was never designed to carry you through adversity. Talent shines when conditions are perfect. Mindset shines when conditions are tough. If your belief, focus, and determination remain strong after a setback, you prove that you are made of more than raw ability. You prove that your foundation is solid. That proof builds confidence that lasts longer than applause. Setbacks also serve as a filter. They reveal who is serious and who is not. Many people start with excitement, but the first obstacle takes them out of the game. They wanted results, but they didn't want resistance. They hoped talent would be enough, and when it wasn't, they stopped. Meanwhile, the ones who continue after setbacks send a clear message. I am not here just for comfort. I am here to finish what I started. That message is what makes people unstoppable. When you encounter a setback, it is an opportunity to test your resilience. Ask yourself, do I believe enough in my goal to keep moving? Do I trust myself enough to recover? Do I have the patience to adjust and try again? Each time you answer yes through your actions, you are building proof that your mindset is stronger than talent. And that proof isn't abstract. It's something you can feel. You begin to carry yourself differently. You speak with more conviction. You trust your own endurance. That kind of inner strength is priceless. The value of setbacks becomes clear when you look back. Often the moments you thought were ruining you were actually shaping you. They forced you to develop patience, humility, creativity, and persistence. They stripped away pride and replaced it with discipline. Without them, you would have remained shallow. With them, you became deeper, stronger, and more prepared for the future. Talent alone could never have given you that. Only setbacks could. There is also a psychological shift that happens when you face setbacks head on. At first, they feel like but the more you endure them, the more you begin to see them as challenges. Instead of thinking, why me? You begin to think, How can I use this? That shift is what separates those who stop from those who rise. Because once you see setbacks as opportunities to prove your mindset, you no longer fear them. You use them as a training ground. This doesn't mean setbacks are easy. They still hurt. They still frustrate you. But what matters is not the presence of pain. It is what you decide to do with it. You can let it harden you into bitterness, or you can let it harden you into strength. The choice is always yours. And every time you choose strength, you grow. That growth compounds until your mindset becomes your greatest asset. People with strong mindsets develop a reputation. Others begin to see them as reliable, unshakable, trustworthy. They may not always be the most talented, but they are the ones others want on their team, in their company, or in their corner. Because when things go wrong, and they always do, people know the resilient ones will not fold. They will adapt, push forward, and eventually find a way. That reputation creates opportunities that talent alone cannot secure. Setbacks can be the very thing that reveals hidden abilities in you. When everything is going well, you never stretch beyond what you already know. But when you are knocked down, you are forced to dig deeper. You discover patience you didn't think you had, courage you never relied on before, and creativity you wouldn't have developed otherwise. These hidden strengths become part of your character, and character always outlasts skill. Think about how different your life could look if you embraced setbacks as proof of your mindset. Imagine walking into challenges with the confidence that no matter what happens, you will not quit. Imagine being able to look at disappointment and see it as training. Imagine how free you would feel knowing that failure cannot break you, because your mindset has already decided to keep moving. That freedom makes you powerful in a way talent never can. It's also worth noting that setbacks don't just test your persistence. They shape your vision. They make you refine your plans, question your strategies, and improve your approach. Every time you fall short, you gain insight into what needs to change. Over time, these adjustments make you sharper. They give you wisdom that people who never failed will never. Wisdom becomes another advantage you carry with you for life. So the next time you face a setback, don't rush to hide it or deny it. Stand in it. Look at it clearly. Ask yourself what it is teaching you. Then rise again with the proof that you can endure. Because in that moment you are building something that will serve you for decades. The certainty that your mindset is stronger than any talent, stronger than any rejection, stronger than any obstacle. That certainty is the real foundation of lasting success. The world does not belong to those who never fall. It belongs to those who keep rising. Setbacks are not the enemy. They are the evidence that you are moving forward. If you treat them as proof of your strength, you will discover that no amount of talent can compare to the power of a resilient mind. And once you have that, there is no challenge too great, no obstacle too heavy, and no setback strong enough to keep you from where you are meant to go. Number 9, prove your value through consistency. Not just raw ability. Raw ability can impress people for a short moment, but consistency is what earns respect for a lifetime. You might walk into a room and surprise everyone with your natural talent. But if you cannot show up day after day with the same effort and quality, that first impression fades quickly. People do not build trust on flashes of brilliance. They build trust on reliability. They want to know that if you say you will do something, you will keep doing it. They want to see that you can deliver, not just once, but over and over again. The truth is that raw ability is common. There are countless people who can sing, speak, create, or perform with impressive skill. But what is uncommon is the ability to sustain performance with consistency. That is why so many gifted people are forgotten. They had moments of greatness, but they never built the discipline to keep showing up. They relied on their ability to carry them. And when that wasn't enough, they disappeared from the field. Consistency is not glamorous. It doesn't give you instant recognition. It often feels repetitive and demanding. But it is the factor that separates those who succeed long-term from those who only have short bursts of progress. When you are consistent, you keep building your craft even when you are not in the spotlight. You keep practicing, you keep improving, and you keep producing results. Over time, that steady effort compounds into mastery, and mastery is what creates undeniable value. When people see consistency in you, they begin to trust you with bigger responsibilities. They know you won't collapse under pressure. They know you won't disappear when things get tough. That reliability is what makes you valuable in any setting, whether in business, relationships, or personal growth. Raw ability may attract attention, but consistency is what builds a reputation. And reputation is what opens doors that talent alone can never open. Consistency also strengthens your own confidence. When you are inconsistent, you live with doubt. You wonder if you can perform again, if you can repeat your past success, if you can sustain the quality you once showed. But when you build a habit of consistency, you don't wonder anymore. You know you can deliver because you have proven it to yourself again and again. That self-trust is powerful. It gives you calm in moments when others panic. It allows you to perform without fear because you know your preparation has already done the work. Another reason consistency proves your value is that it outlasts circumstances. Anyone can perform well when conditions are perfect, but life rarely gives you perfect conditions. There will be stress, distractions, obstacles, and setbacks. If you only rely on raw ability, those circumstances will expose you. But if you have consistency, you can perform well even when the environment is difficult. That reliability is what makes people count on you, and it is what makes you stand out. Consistency also exposes the truth about your priorities. If you claim something is important to you, but you don't show up for it consistently, then it is not really a priority. It is a wish. Wishes don't build value. Disciplined, the person who works consistently, even in small steps, is proving that they are committed. That commitment is what creates progress over time. And that progress, multiplied across weeks, months, and years, creates a level of value that raw ability alone could never achieve. People sometimes believe that consistency is boring, but in reality it is what gives life stability. Without consistency, everything is unpredictable. You never know if you can rely on yourself, let alone if others can rely on you. With consistency, you build a rhythm that sustains you. You wake up knowing what you must do. You no longer wait for inspiration or mood to guide you. You are guided by your habits, and those habits carry you forward no matter how you feel. Raw ability can make you confident, but it can also make you careless. It tempts you to think you don't need to prepare or practice, and for a while you may get away with it. But eventually, life catches up. There will come a time when raw ability is not enough, when the challenge is greater than your natural gifts. That is when consistency proves its worth. If you have built the habit of steady effort, you will adapt and rise. If you haven't, you will fall behind, no matter how talented you once were. Consistency is also what yields endurance. You cannot endure long seasons of difficulty if you only rely on ability. You need the discipline of regular effort to sustain you. That effort makes you stronger day by day. It toughens your mindset, sharpens your skills, and increases your capacity. By the time others are exhausted, you are still standing, not because you were the most talented, but because you built the strength of consistency. Think about the difference between someone who practices a skill for 1 hour intensely and then quits for months, versus someone who practices 30 minutes every day for years. The first may look impressive for a moment, but the second becomes a master. Why? Because consistency compounds. Low effort, repeated daily, creates more growth than large bursts of effort that are not repeated. This is why proving your value through consistency will always be more powerful than trying to rely on occasional displays of raw talent. When you move with consistency, you begin to enjoy a deeper kind of satisfaction. It is not the shallow satisfaction of impressing people once. It is the steady satisfaction of knowing you are building something meaningful every day. That kind of fulfillment lasts. It keeps you motivated long after the applause has faded. It gives your life direction and purpose, because you know that every effort is part of a larger process. Your future will not be shaped by what you can do once. It will be shaped by what you do repeatedly. The world does not measure people by their rare moments of brilliance. It measures them by their consistent contribution. If you want to prove your value, don't rely on your natural ability to carry you. Build consistency that makes you reliable, disciplined, and steady. That is what sets you apart. So never confuse talent with value.
Talent may be the seed, but consistency is the soil and the water that make it grow. Without consistency, talent dries up. With consistency, even small talent can blossom into greatness. Prove your value not by showing how skilled you are once, but by showing how disciplined you are every day. Because in the end, people don't remember who impressed them for a moment. They remember who they could count on for a lifetime.
Number 10. Win trust from others by showing attitude, not talent. Trust is one of the most valuable currencies you can ever earn. People may be impressed with what you can do, but they place their trust in who you are. Talent can capture attention quickly, but trust is built slowly and carefully. You cannot win lasting trust by showing off your ability alone. You win it by demonstrating attitude, the way you carry yourself, the way you treat others, and the way you handle both success and failure. When people look at you, they are asking silent questions. Can I rely on this person? Will they keep their word? Do they show respect when things don't go their way? Are they the kind of person I want to stand beside? The answers to those questions don't come from talent. They come from attitude. The person may be highly gifted but arrogant, careless, or inconsistent. People may admire their ability, but they will not trust them deeply. On the other hand, someone with a steady and strong attitude may not be the most skilled, but they gain the loyalty of others because people know they can depend on them. Talent can create admiration, but admiration is fragile. It fades quickly if someone's attitude is poor. You've seen it before. Someone shines in their work, yet they lose opportunities because they are difficult to work with, or because they can't manage their ego. That is because trust was never built. Without trust, talent has no foundation. But with the right attitude, even someone with modest ability can become indispensable. Attitude shows up in the small things. It's in how you respond to criticism. It's in whether you finish what you start. It's in how you handle setbacks without blaming others. These are the qualities that build trust over time. People notice consistency, humility, patience, and respect. They may not comment on it right away, but they remember it. Over time, that memory becomes belief. This is someone I can count on. Trust is also earned in difficult moments. When pressure is high, talent may give you quick solutions, but attitude decides whether people will follow you through the storm. If you remain calm, respectful, and focused, people feel safe around you. They trust your presence. But if you let ego, anger, or despair take over, no level of skill can repair the damage. Attitude is what gives people confidence that you can be steady when things are unstable. The important thing to realize is that trust is not built overnight. It requires repeated proof. Each time you show up with the right attitude, you deposit something into the account of trust. Each time you show integrity, each time you act with discipline, each time you show respect, that account grows. Over time, the value of that account far outweighs the momentary impact of talent. People may forget your achievements, but they never forget how you made them feel. Another reason attitude builds trust more than talent is that attitude reflects choice. You cannot choose the gifts you were born with, but you can choose your outlook, your behavior, and your discipline. When people see that you consistently choose to act with integrity, they begin to trust your decisions. They know that regardless of the situation, you will bring the same values to the table. That kind of reliability creates long-term confidence. Trust also grows when people see that you care more about contribution than recognition. A talented person who constantly seeks applause may be admired but not deeply trusted. But someone who works with the attitude of service, improvement, and responsibility earns respect. People know they are not just in it for themselves. They know they can be relied upon to do what's best, not just what makes them look good. That is how attitude secures trust that talent never could. It's also important to understand that trust is fragile. It can take years to build and only moments to destroy. And it is usually destroyed by attitude, not by lack of skill. People will forgive mistakes of ability if the attitude behind them is honest, humble,
and accountable. But they rarely forgive arrogance, dishonesty, or selfishness, no matter how skilled the person may be. That's why focusing on attitude is so critical if you want to build trust that lasts. Think of the leaders who left the deepest mark on others. It wasn't only their achievements that made them memorable, it was their character. People followed them because they trusted them, and that trust was built on the way they treated people, the way they carried responsibility, the way they stood by their principles. That is the kind of legacy that only attitude can create. If you want to win trust, start by examining your daily actions. Do you keep promises, even the small ones? Do you treat people with respect, even if they can't do anything for you? Do you stay disciplined when no one is watching? These are the signs of a strong attitude. Over time, they build a reputation that others will recognize and rely on. That reputation is worth more than any raw ability. Trust is also multiplied through consistency. One act of good attitude is not enough. People need to see it repeatedly to believe it. They need to know that you don't just act with integrity when it benefits you, but that you live with integrity at all times. This steady attitude builds a foundation that is nearly impossible to shake. And that foundation makes you someone people seek out and respect, no matter how competitive the world becomes. The world is full of talented people who are not trusted. They are admired from a distance, but kept at arm's length when it comes to responsibility. At the same, many people with average abilities rise to positions of influence because others know they can be counted on. That is the power of attitude. It can open doors that talent alone cannot. So remember, talent may get people's attention, but attitude keeps their trust. Work on your skills, yes, but work harder on your mindset. Show humility in success. Show patience in difficulty. Show discipline in your habits. Show respect in your interactions. Every one of those choices builds trust. And when you win trust, you gain something far more powerful than applause. You gain loyalty, respect, and opportunity. In the end, people will not measure you only by what you could do, but by how you lived, how you acted, and how you treated others. That is the measure of trust. And trust will always outlast talent. Remember this: skill may make people notice you, but attitude is what makes them remember you. Your attitude will decide how you handle failure, how you build trust, and how you keep moving when others quit. That's why the strongest people you admire are not always the most talented, but they are always the ones with the right mindset. If today's message spoke to you, don't just listen, apply it. Look at your own life and ask, am I depending only on my skill, or am I strengthening my attitude every single day? That answer will shape your future. Stay with this channel because every lesson you hear here is designed to push you, challenge you, and help you grow into your best self. Your next breakthrough could come from the very next video. Keep coming back, because the journey of growth never dulls, and together we will keep moving forward.